Okay. Hey YouTubers. Another dream. This one is very important. Okay. I was standing in a car wash, or what I think was a car wash, one of those outside car washes that you do by hand. Anyway, there was a big ball, like a light, hanging from the ceiling, and me and somebody else was trying to smash this light up against the wall. And I was thinking to myself, I shouldn't be doing this. So anyway, all of a sudden I heard this sound, and I turned around, and it was a trumpet. And I looked up in kind of like the sky, and you know how a TV has picture-in-picture? Well, that's how this was. My mom was sitting in a red robe, and she was sitting in a chair, and she was playing a trumpet. And I asked her what she was doing, and she was like, I'm trying to play this trumpet. And it was a little trumpet. It actually wasn't a normal size trumpet. So anyway, I turned around and I looked, and Steve, my ex-husband, was standing there just staring at the sky. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so right then I saw a rainbow. I saw a half rainbow. And I was like, whoa, I was in such awe. And then I looked up in the sky, and there was this straight line. I mean, absolutely straight line. The clouds had made, like they had parted, and they had made this straight line, and there was light coming in from these clouds. The clouds were like darker. It was kind of like night, I guess you could say. And then I looked over to my right, and I saw like a ball of light, and it was coming down out of the sky, and I was thinking to myself, that was Jesus. And so I turned around, and I picked up my 4-year-old. Well, I'm guessing she was 4. There was this little girl. She has long brown hair, and I don't have a daughter that looks like that yet. But and I picked her up, and I said, okay, sweetie, are you ready to meet Jesus? Are you ready? He's coming. I said, you're gonna go, you're gonna go. And we walked outside, and or outside of the car wash, and then Steve took my hand, or I don't know, anyway, we grabbed hands, and he said, come on. And we started walking really fast. I don't know where we were going, but right then, as we took a few steps, all of a sudden another rainbow showed up, and it was coming straight at me. You know how normally you see them from the side? Well, it was coming straight at me. It was one rainbow, and then it broke off into 4 parts. And I was just in such awe whenever I saw it. It made me really happy. But I was in such awe. I didn't know what it meant. Well, as soon as I saw that, bam, we were in another place. And we were in this big, huge building, and I didn't know where we were. And I kept asking people, where are we? Where are we? And finally, a lady turned around, and she said, we're in Israel, 1948. And I was like, oh. And I looked outside, and there were people walking around, and they were in these really weird like dresses and stuff. And so I ran outside as fast as I could, and I don't know, I've never done this before. Anyway, I ran outside, and I knelt down on the ground, and I kissed the ground. And the grass was really, really green, and then I took off walking, and there was another girl right in front of me. She was a little bit younger than me, and she pointed. We got to like this cliff area, and she pointed, and she goes, look. And I came to the edge of the cliff, and my grandma was there. My grandma, she died a few years ago. She was one of my favorite grandmas in the whole world. Anyway, she was there, and she was wearing this white roby thing, and I looked at her, and I didn't really even say anything to her. I was like, oh, hi, Grandma, you know, but then I kept on walking. And anyway, there was these houses, and they were made of, like, clay, and one side, it was really weird, they were all, like, I don't know, this side was red, and this side was white clay, and I was in very much awe, and then right after that, I was in another house, and these people were feeding us, and all of a sudden I heard a noise outside, a big crowd, and they were hustling and bustling and talking and laughing, and they were happy, and I almost knew what it was, and I looked out the window, and sure enough, there was this bridge, you know, one of them pretty half wooden bridges, you know, like kind of arches, and there were a whole bunch of people, like this big crowd of people walking, and they were following somebody. I just knew it, you know, in my head. I just knew they were following somebody, and I looked, and there he was. There was Jesus, and he was walking by himself, you know, and they were following him, and he was happy, and he was smiling, and oh my gosh, I took off running as fast as I could, and I kept saying, Jesus, 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 under my breath, you know, kind of will whisper it to myself. And I thought in my mind, I was like, nobody's going to stop me from getting to him. I am going to get to him. And, you know, no amount of whatever. And so I ran, and I went around this corner, and there he was. And I, like, came to an abrupt stop, and I just stopped. And I knelt down really slow. He was sitting on the ground, and he was all kicked back and smiling, and I knelt down really slow, and I was just in so much awe, and I just stared at him, and I smiled, and he smiled back at me. He didn't say anything at all. He just smiled back at me, this really happy smile, and then all of a sudden I was in another place, and we were all waiting, and Jesus was getting ready to tell us where we were going. And I kept thinking to myself, I made it. I made it. I actually made it. And I was so happy. And then my cell phone rings. Yeah, get that. My cell phone rings. I'm in Israel in 1948. My cell phone rings. And it was my sister. And she calls me, and she says, she just starts talking. And all of a sudden I go, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you're not here? And she goes, well, no, where are you? And I went, oh, no. I mean, my heart just sank. And that was it. So hopefully that was under 9 minutes. And God bless you. And I've got a bunch more videos to come. So, bye.